Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com. Welcome to the podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Greene. Today, I've got the good fortune to be interviewing Marcus Sheridan, best-selling author of They Ask You Answer, and one of my new favorite marketing books, Endless Customers. Marcus, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure, Seth. I think we're going to have a great conversation today. I got a good feeling about this.
All right, so do I. You and I have met in person. I got the good fortune to see you speak, so I know that for a fact to be true. For our folks who haven't been living under a rock, apparently, and haven't read They Ask You Answer or Endless Customers, you started on this journey by building what became an incredibly successful swimming pool business. And that experience formed the basis for your best-selling book, They Ask You Answer, and then Endless Customers. How did that early entrepreneurial experience kind of shape your view of content, trust, and marketing, things you are now a preeminent expert in?
Yeah, I started that pool company in 2001. 2008, we have the crash. Looks like we're going to go out of business. The one thing, though, that's really beautiful about pain and suffering in business is that it forces us outside of our comfort zone, Seth, right? And oftentimes we'll have like this YOLO moment where we throw caution to the wind and say, there's this thing I've been thinking we should do for a while. I'm finally going to do it now. And that's how that period of time was for me. And as I studied more and more about the changing buyer, about digital consumers, everything was like, listen, if you just obsess over your customers' questions, worries, fears, issues, concerns, and you're willing to address those well online, in my case, I might be able to save my business. So that's what we did. We became what is essentially the Wikipedia of pools. I mean, I answered hundreds of questions on our website, on our YouTube channel, through text, through video. Then we became the most trafficked swimming pool website in the world. Then we became a manufacturer of fiberglass pools, a franchise, and I wrote about this journey in the book They Ask You Answer. And what was so great about that, Seth, is so many other organizations, B2B, B2C, then applied those same principles, became way more buyer-centric in terms of their approach, started thinking more like a buyer. And then because of everything that happened with AI, ChatGPT in November 2022, I said, I had folks ask me all the time, so what does this mean for content going forward? What does this mean for websites going forward? And so that's why I said, okay, let me write Endless Customers, which shows the most up-to-date version of this system to become more known and trusted.
That makes a lot of sense. When you reflect on your journey so far from, hey, just trying to keep this pool business alive to marketing and business thought leader, what's been like the largest personal shift you've had to make in terms of mindset?
It's been a funny journey. I didn't set out saying I want to be an author or travel the world as a speaker. But for me, it was literally like, this makes so much sense. Why is everyone not doing it? I'm like, okay, so what I've said is I'm going to obsessively listen over every question, worry, fear, issue, concern my buyer might have. And I'm going to have the courage to address those online. And I didn't make it more of the into something like that was it. And we took off. And I'm always intrigued by how many folks say, this is so extraordinary. This is like so wild. But what's fascinating, Seth, is even though everybody says they're buyer centric, like businesses say this. They're actually not very, especially when it comes to their marketing. Like perfect case in point. One of the main points that I've been making now for 15 years that I talk about and they ask you to answer the endless customers is the necessity now, good grief, necessity of being more honest and open about the subject of pricing. To this day, less than 5% of all businesses discuss pricing on their website. Can you believe that? Right? It's 2025 at the time of this recording. And still, most people are not talking about pricing online. And the issue is they think, well, I can't do that because I'm going to back myself in a corner. And that's because they're only thinking in terms of, I got to share my exact price. That's not what the buyer actually wants. What the buyer wants is for you to just give them a sense for roughly what am I going to spend here, right? And the moment you're willing to teach them and help them understand what drives value in an industry, what drives costs up and what drives costs down, now all of a sudden humans love you way more, search engines love you way more, AI loves you way more. You're winning across the board. There's really not an argument against it at this point, yet 95% of all companies don't do it, Seth.
Well, that 5% is probably because of you. And I know that you are leading the charge to try and make that a whole lot more. And the core idea, one of the core ideas of both books is that we should be proactive, as you just mentioned, proactively answering buyer questions and building trust via transparency. So you talk about becoming the Wikipedia of fools. How do we figure out what are the hundreds of questions we could answer? How do we know where to start? How do we know what to do first?
Yeah, well, first off, let me just say, if you're listening well to your customer, to your buyer, every single day, you or your sales team or your customer service team, you get tens, if not hundreds of questions that somebody wants to know, that somebody's probably searching right now that you can and should be addressing online through text, through video, etc. So that's one way you can do it. Another way you can do it, which is a major cheat, it'd be like if you said, I want to hire you, Marcus. I want you to tell me everything I should be producing content about. I want you to create the titles of my articles and videos for me. I just don't want to pay you any money. The easiest way for you to do that would be to go to a tool that I made that's free, and it's on ChatGPT. It's a custom GPT, and it's Endless Customers Titles by Marcus Sheridan. And all you have to do is go to GPTs within ChatGPT and do a search for Marcus Sheridan. And you can find that it is like such a powerful tool that helps you to create titles that consumers are going to love, your customers are going to love, but are going to give you a lot more traction when it comes to AI, when it comes to search engines. It follows what we call the big five in the book, which are the 5 subjects that buyers are obsessed with, that businesses don't like to talk about, which are cost, problems, comparisons, reviews, and best. Those are the 5 umbrella subjects that really dictate the way buyers learn, the way they search online, and the way they make buying decisions. So if you want to become that voice of trust in your market, you got to be willing to say and show what others aren't willing to say and show online. And it starts with those 5 subjects, the big 5.
You've alluded to AI search multiple times in our environment today with AI zero-click search. Has that caused your advice or your framework over the years to evolve?
It's evolving just like the buyer's evolving and the technology is evolving all the time. Today, 70+% of all searches in Google into no click and all. And so they get an answer and they don't click on a blue link. And the other side to this is, Seth, like if you think about for 20 years, marketing didn't change a lot. Like make the customer happy, make Google happy, and you probably win. And the way you made Google happy was either you created good content, otherwise known as content marketing or SEO, or you gave them money, otherwise known as paid advertising, right? So that has now been turned on its head, or it's turning on its head as more and more people start using tools to get answers immediately, like ChatGPT, because the future of search, I can guarantee it, is not being shown a mountain of blue links and allowing you just to decide, okay, of all these blue links on this page, trying to decipher which one is a sponsored search and which one is not a sponsored search. The future of great user experience is getting the answer, the right answer for us. That's where it's all going to head. And there's a lot of debate about what the future of SEO is, but I can tell you this. Even though SEO and Google, traditional Google, matter today, they're going to matter less and less every single day. And what's going to matter more and more is that you're the answer that AI shows. And so there is a decent amount of overlap. And AI is very much into the ask you answer. I mean, that's the whole like vibe to AI is giving the specific answer to the specific question. One tool that I came up with that's really helpful for this. If you're listening to this right now, it's called AI Trust Signals. And you can find it at aitrustsignals.com. What it does, it gives you a free score for how AI is judging and therefore how likely it is to recommend your business. So again, you can find that at aitrustsignals.com. You put in your URL, you get a score, and it's going to tell you a bunch of things that you need to improve. There's a lot of companies that are in trouble when it comes to AI recommendations. They're not quite ready for that period. One last stat about this: 1 in 4 people today, by per Adobe, say they prefer using ChatGPT over Google. For my audiences, that number is closer to 50% because I've done this. The last 3,000 people I've spoken to in audiences. This is over last month. I've spoken to about 3,000 people last month. In person, 50% said I prefer ChatGPT over Google. So this is where we're headed. It's inevitable, and the question is, are you preparing for it as a business? Hopefully, you are.
For companies that say we're too small, right? We don't have capacity. We don't have, a videographer on staff or content managers on staff. What's a like getting started realistic entry point that you would steer them to?
Yeah. First off, I'd say lucky you that you're small. You can be a digital David in a land of Goliaths. You don't have to play by anybody's rule. You don't have some stinking board of attorneys that are going to tell you, no, you can't put that out there, or, fix this or cross this T or dot that I. You can make your own rules. That's a beautiful place to be in business, especially in this digital landscape. Like, man, you can just be so much more nimble than anybody else. This is why you see all these like teenage millionaires on TikTok, because they're not sitting there saying, "Oh, gee, what do you guys think we should?" No, it's like they're just putting it out there. I'm not suggesting you put out junk, but one of the first things that you should do, or you could do, is do a brainstorm of all the questions that you have that you get every single day. You can use that one tool that I gave you. That's at Custom GPT, and then literally just take your cell phone and answer one question a day, every single day, for the rest of your business life. And then take that video and upload it to the social media where you are, or maybe the ones that you're not currently at, but B2B, LinkedIn, if you're, B2C, maybe TikTok or Facebook. Just make a habit of doing that every single day and then uploading them to YouTube as well. And you're going to start to figure out what your message is. You're going to figure out better what your audience is. And you're going to just start to get better and better, and your brand is going to grow more and more. And every time you create a video, that's another signal that's out there that's going to tell the human, tell the AI, hey, this is somebody that's trustworthy and that we should consider doing business with. It's so easy to do it. I mean, a cell phone, come on, like we've all got it. If we're not doing it at this point, it's just because we're being hard-headed or lazy or both.
You mentioned buyer evolution. What do you think like the biggest mistakes are that sales and marketing teams and companies are making now when it comes to dealing with buyers who are doing, a lot of research before they even make first contact?
Well, I think a lot of them sound extremely one-sided and biased. In the book, Endless Customers, I refer to something that's known as the law of the coin, which is basically you got to learn that when you're talking about something, it always has two sides to the coin. And therefore, if you're going to talk about why something's great, you also got to talk about who it's not a good fit for. So, in other words, if I asked every company that's listening to this right now, is there a page of your site that says who you're not a good fit for? Like a specific page? They'd say, no, I don't have that, right? Well, trust me, if you had that page of your website, it'd be one of the most viewed pages of your site. It's very powerful because it's very, very disarming. If you're willing to say who you're not a good fit for, you now become dramatically more attractive to those who you are a good fit for. So that is one of the most common mistakes that I see. Another very common mistake I see, depending on the business, some degree, but most folks aren't embracing self-service right now. Self-service it comes from the stat from Gartner that says 75% of all buyers today would prefer to have a seller-free sales experience. And so, what does this mean? It doesn't mean that we hate salespeople. It just means that we don't want to talk to a salesperson until we're ready, until we're confident, we're comfortable, we feel like we're informed, we're ready to rock and roll. And so, what is the answer to this? The answer to this is to give buyers more control. The way you do that is through self service. A self service tool is an interactive tool on your website that gives the buyer the ability to get an answer or to take an action that previously they would have had to have gotten by talking with a human first. For example, in the primary one, should come as no surprise, would be a pricing estimator tool. So it's not a quote tool, it's an estimator. This gives a potential customer a range as to what they might spend for your product or service. Now, I was the first fiberglass pool manufacturer in the world to have a pricing estimator on our website. And during the summertime, you'd get 1 to 200 leads a day. Just an absolute cash cow. Today, I've got a software company that helps organizations make pricing estimators out the box very cost effectively. The average customer we have spends $200 a year for the tool, and they average 300% lift in conversions when they add an estimator to their website, which is crazy if you think about it. But again, everybody wants this. So it's like by simply having something on your homepage, like a call to action that says get instant estimate. And now they answer a series of questions and then they get a range at the end. You can go from 5 leads a week to 15 leads a week. It's crazy, but that's what we see over and over again. I've got about 1,000 customers that use that tool. It's called priceguide.ai. Extremely powerful. It's not the only one out there. It doesn't matter to me so much which one of the tools you use. It matters to me that you give buyers what they want so that you can solve your lead problem, which most companies have. And leads and first party data, that's when somebody gives you their information on your website. They're getting harder to come by because the expectation level of the buyer is rising. And so you can't expect to give like some stinking buyer's guide on your website and have that convert a mountain of people to you. Sorry, that's 2015. Now we're in a different era. That era requires you giving more, and by giving more, you receive more. In this context, you get that first party, that email information, and you're generating more leads than you have in the past. That's where everyone needs to go. Few companies are going in that direction. It's got to be fixed. You should definitely read about that in Endless Customers Self-Service.
What are 3 books that you love that you would recommend other than your own?
3 books that I would recommend. One really good one that just came out that I'm a fan of is by my friend Joe Pulizzi, Burn the Playbook. Okay. Love that book. A classic old school book would be Good to Great. Good to Great, which I think of all the books that I've listened to for business that helped me to really hone in and become world class. Good to Great was it. And then one other classic, I mean, like in terms of business personal development books, this is the Bible. It's How to Win Friends and Influence People. It never grows old, in my opinion. I think it's an evergreen bit of genius by Mr. Carnegie, and I would highly recommend it to anyone that wants to be a better communicator. The number one skill set that dictates average income in the world today is simply your ability to communicate. Yet most organizations don't have trained communication as part of the way they work with their staff. Most sales teams average 2 sales trainings a year, which to me is a crime against humanity, right? And this is not something that most leaders learn how to do, is communicate more effectively, at least in a training environment. So that's something that we need to turn around. And it starts with reading a world-class book like How to Win Friends and Influence People. So dang good. Great title too. I'm jealous of that title. So good.
Endless Customers is a pretty good title too. You have achieved so much success for all of your businesses and their customers. What's your biggest challenge now?
I think the hardest challenge I experience today is keeping up with the rate of change because it's changing faster today than it has in the 25 years I've been a business owner. What's just happening with AI alone, I turn around and really quickly, what I did is I set up a bunch of AI agents that now keep me informed of the most impactful changes and evolutions that are happening with technology and with AI, because otherwise I can't keep up with it, and I'm doing my best. But that is the most difficult challenge today, is the rate of change, no doubt.
Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
I feel like when God put me here, He put me here to teach people and to take complicated subjects and explain them in a way that anyone could understand them. And I feel like I'm living that mission every single day. It's a big joy. So I feel good because I think I'm right with God, and I think I'm helping a lot of people at the same time, and that's a beautiful win-win.
Amen to that. Well, we know your time is incredibly valuable. We greatly appreciate you spending some of it with us. For our folks watching or listening, where is the best place for them to go to get the books and to learn more about you?
Well, first of all, connect with me on LinkedIn because I'm a dang good follow, my friends. So connect with me there. And you can get the book at endlesscustomers.com or any of those other places where people buy the books. You can email me to marcus@marcussheridan.com. Ask me any question you want. I will send you an answer from these lips.
All right. This has been Seth Greene here with Marcus Sheridan from endlesscustomers.com. The book is Endless Customers and They Ask You Answer. Thank you, everybody, for watching or listening. We will talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.